Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Udekeng. It's the show where we chat with business analysts and project managers about their triumphs and challenges, their ideas, their contribution to their field. It's inspiring, it's upbeat, it's exciting, but most of all, it's inquisitive. My guest today is a Chief Efficiency Officer, helping people and organizations do what they do better. She's been cited as Canada's foremost business productivity expert. She's a TEDx speaker, HuffPost and Thrive Global contributor. She's appeared on Canadian news and radio like Global TV, CBC, 680 News Radio, Sirius XM, and she's been published in Canada's Global Mail newspaper and numerous industry magazines. Please help me welcome to today's show, Adriana Girdler. Welcome, Adriana.
Well, thank you, Marcus. I'm really glad to be here.
Oh, thanks for joining us from the Greater Toronto region.
Yeah.
It's by the way, what's the weather like down there?
It's beautiful today. Absolutely gorgeous sun, but we are supposed to be getting lots of rain, which I'm a gardener, so I'm fine with that because my plants are going to be happy.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's better than here. We've got snow out in Calgary.
Oh, yeah, okay. You know what? I'm sorry. See, as a Canadian, I'm saying sorry that you have snow, as you know. For those who are not Canadians listening to this podcast.
No doubt, indeed. Well, it gives us appetite to chat about project management a bit, because maybe we can project manage that snow out of there.
Yeah, okay. That'd be great.
So let's start off with a discussion about project management. So how did you get started in project management? Like, what's your advice for up and coming PMs who want to get started in the PM business too?
It's interesting. I get asked this question a lot, and there's individuals who are like, oh, I'm going to school for project management. Well, there is no schooling for project management. There may be courses and ad hoc adjuncts to like business programs or stuff like that. But I think majority of project managers fall into project management. I know I did when I had two careers. I was in sales and marketing in my first career, and I would do projects, but I didn't realize they were projects. I had zero clue that they were projects, and probably didn't manage them really well either because I had zero training at that point in time. But then when I went back to school for engineering and I went into the manufacturing world, just the rule of being an engineer, I was a process engineer, so I was on the floor all the time. That's all I did was projects. Here, we got to fix this. We have this quality defect. So it was very project related. And they actually gave me training in project management, like, 2-day course, things of that nature. And so that's how I started. It was really, I always did projects. I really believe everyone in organizations do projects. They just don't realize they do projects. But it was very much formalized when I was in my engineering role, my process engineering role. It was very formalized, and that's all I did was projects.
Cool, interesting. So you've got a YouTube channel out there. Can you, and it's something that I love to watch because I've watched many of your videos. So can you tell us about the theme, the format, and perhaps even some of the content from that channel?
Absolutely. Well, for the best career and project management advice, subscribe to my channel and a new video is going to come to you every Wednesday. No, I'm laughing because you're laughing because I say that in every video. So that is the theme. I basically am taking my 20 plus years of experience, and you're supposed to say, Marcus, right away, you don't look it.
No, you don't.
Look it. See, but yes, I am actually. I to be honest, it's 25 plus years of experience. So I took all of that and I really put it into a YouTube channel because I found over the years of doing what I do, particularly with my consulting firm that I started back in 2008, I kept on getting asked for advice on career-related items, project-related items. And it was just one of those things where I was like, you know what? In this stage of my life, I have a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, and I've really learned, because of the efficiency background that I have, how to translate things into a very effective way, but also put a lot of customer service spin around it because of my sales background before as well. So, the channel that I have is really to teach individuals, and they really could be of any stage in your career, because I'm a big believer in continuous improvement. You learn up until your last breath, really, I do believe that. But it probably is geared, I would see more of a younger audience. Like when I look at my analytics, because it's all bit data, I look at my analytics, 25 to 35 tends to be the range that definitely visit my site. But I have those who are older, and I have actually those that are younger in school. So I have a lot of teachers who direct students to my site in preparation for their career world. So just, giving the practical side and advice to project management, to careers, things that, people just don't tell you, and you learn through fault, right? You make the mistake. So here's a channel that is going to give you a lot of advice on a whole bunch of things to help you in your career. So that's kind of my channel in a nutshell.
Cool. So it's all those tidbits that we don't have unless we have a coffee conversation sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and there is a big project management focus on this channel because, I'm a PMP. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I find a lot of organizations don't know how to manage projects. They don't, or do it well.
Yeah, cool. So the channel helps, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, so let's ask, looking back at your project management history, what are some of the challenging parts of being a project manager?
So, okay, like everything, there's pros and cons, yin and yang. There's always going to be good with the bad, right? I love project management. I just, what I love about it is you get in and you get out. There's a start and an end. So I'm never going to be stuck doing the same thing. And every single project has something new associated with it. So that's really exciting for me, and I get very excited about that. But the challenge is always the same. It's either senior techniques on how to stop that, because I've been around that way too long, particularly in the consulting field, you get that a lot. And then the people aspect, where people aren't used to it, or they haven't really been properly brought into the fold of a project, and they may not think that they're really a team member. So I find dealing with team dynamics and people dynamics becomes really important. And if you don't deal with those things right away, that's where the challenges are. Tools and techniques are straightforward. If you implement that and you implement it well, you will have an okay to a good project. You want a great project that rock and rolls and actually moves mountains, because a lot of our initiatives are about doing really things that are unique. Then you need to bring in the people part. And that's where, if I were to look in organizations, because I work in a lot of different organizations, I would say that's the missing element, is the people part and the practicality of it, and how do you bring people together.
Cool. And talking about people, and that brings us on the next subject, stakeholders. So have you had any difficult stakeholders? And if so, what's your advice to our audience on how to overcome those pain points?
Okay, of course I had difficult stakeholders. If I said no, I would be lying. So just to be clear for your audience, a stakeholder is anyone who touches the project. So I think people forget that. So the stakeholder could be someone who's actually going to be the end user of the deliverable that you are project managing, and they may just come into contact a little bit. It could be your project team members and their stakeholders, your sponsor, your steering committee, executive individuals, anybody who really touches a project as a stakeholder. And one of the things that I'm a big believer in is change management, really good change management. And so part of change management in conjunction with project management, which by the way, can be two projects on their own. Like I've been on a project where we had technical project management, and then we had change management project management. There were two project managers doing those two side-by-side things. Is good stakeholder analysis is really important. Understanding where people's thoughts are, what their needs are, how do they need to be communicated to, how do they have to be brought along the cycle of the project, because not all stakeholders need to be brought along the same way. So yeah, every single category that I mentioned to you, I've had difficulty with. And why? It's because it's people. People have their own baggage that they bring to the table, which has nothing to do with what you're working on, but they may be that, they're constantly, on a point where like, okay, we just get past this, but they can't. And it has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the project. It's your own emotional baggage. So that's why it's really important to understand the people part of things, and really emotional intelligence, team dynamics, anything, even psychology. Like I don't use psychology because you can't use psychology. I understand psychology so that when I have those difficult stakeholders, I kind of try to see where they're coming from and adjust my positioning to bring them into the fold, because ultimately the win is when we're all working together. That's the win, right? I don't want to isolate anyone. So I will spend time with people accordingly. But there also comes a point where you got to stop, right? I have to stop and I need to move forward with the project. I've done my due diligence, and I have the advantage of having clients. So I say, look, I've done everything. This is now on your shoe. It's on your plate. You got to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that part of talking about end users as being stakeholders, a lot of people forget about that, because you're on a project, that your benefits realization comes from those end users, right? If they can't do what they need to do to get the job done, then you haven't done your job, type of thing.
Well, I bring them in from day one. Oh, you're getting this. Wow, congratulations. You're so lucky. We get to do the heavy lifting. You get to get the end result. But that also means as a project, you have to do a really good job, because a lot of times the deliverable or the handoff to the end user is, a lot of them are not pretty, right? Because people think, oh, I did my go live, I launched it, I'm done. No, the project's not done. You then dismantle the team, and you have a smaller team to deal with all the transitional stuff for a good, 3 to 6 months after. That's another thing that gets missed too. But
change management, yeah, that's another issue.
Change management,
yeah, and digital transformations and all that kind of stuff. So I can't help but notice this vivacious vitality you have, not only on your videos, but also here on this interview. So it helps to exude those YouTube videos. So how do you keep this momentum with this person? Is this just your personality, or have you been injected with something that the rest of us need to have? I mean,
well, no, it is part and parcel, obviously, who I am. I'm an extrovert, like that would be a shock, right? Obviously, I'm an extrovert. And as an extrovert, in order to think, I speak as I think. Right? Whereas introverts will think before they speak, which I have a lot of respect for, because they usually say amazing things because they had time to think about it. Whereas I'm like, but I joke. No, look, it's also part of my outlook on life. It's who I am. I love what I do. I think that comes through. Like, I love what I do. I have knowledge, and I love sharing it with people who want to hear it. So, I mean, let's be honest. And then there's a whole bunch of other factors too. Okay. Like, I work out every day. I work out 6 days a week. Okay. I eat really, really well. I don't drink. I don't go in the sun. I have sunscreen on. Like, I really take care of myself. I have amazing genetics. My mom is so youthful, and she's almost 80. So says a lot. She's very youthful. So I'm really excited, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I get to look like her. And I laugh a lot. I really do believe I laugh. I think laughing is a big part of it. And another aspect, which is kind of going a little bit deep, is I have a very strong spiritual practice and connection. And I really believe holistically taking care of the mind, body, and soul. And that is a big part of it. And so I just, every day is an opportunity to make a difference in someone's life. I'm a big believer in that. And so I always put my best foot forward. That's where that comes from.
Nice. Well, they say that this is a people-oriented job, and it sounds like you're very people-oriented. So you've got the job, you're hired.
No, sometimes I get hired a lot only because of my personality. And then I say to them, oh, you're so lucky, because I have a really good skill set to do. They go hand in hand.
2 in 1. 2 in 1. That's good. Nice. Okay, so your company's name is called Cornerstone Dynamics, and I see you've got a picture behind you, Slay, which is one of the big symbols on your website as well. So what is Cornerstone Dynamics all about? What are the services that you guys provide?
Yeah, well, Cornerstone Dynamics, we are a boutique consulting firm, and we go into organizations and we help them internally with their ways of working and help them do what they do better. So we don't focus on their product or service, because they're really good at that. It's how they do their product and service, the processes. So we look to make things more effective, more efficient. We do a lot of project work associated with that. A lot of times people have pain points and just don't know what to do. So we're kind of there to help unearth it and figure it out and put a really good holistic plan around it. We're very collaborative in our approach, because the solution is not in me as a consultant giving them a report, do this. It's bringing in the people who actually are touching the product or services that have the concerns or the issues or the challenges, that we work with them and collectively using very specific methodology, we figure what the problems are. And we use a lot of project management in that too, because a lot of times they're like, okay, now that you helped us figure out what it is, can you help us manage and implement the new ideas that you were suggesting? So that's where a lot of that comes from. So that's the service-oriented side of my business. I have a product-related side to my business, which is the SLAY Project Management. It's my online practical project management course. So it's really it's based on PMI, me as a PMP, the PMI principles that we are taught in our PMBOK. But I've brought it down to what I use, and I find I get complimented on, and I'm very successful with the practical side. So I've made it more efficient, more effective. The SLAY Project Management is online, it's self-directed. It's an amazing course. I have people who are project managers for 10 years who have taken and going, oh my goodness, there's some great tools and techniques in here. And those who are brand new to it, use it. It's excellent for 80% of the projects out there. It's not for mega projects, because you really do need experienced, well-seasoned project manager. You can use a lot more tools than I have in my toolbox that I give you and all the templates. So, but it is something that really a lot, as I said earlier on, there's a lot of people who do projects that have no clue that they're running projects, and they really need some fundamental help with it. And this is it. And I'm finding, because of COVID and the pandemic, a lot of organizations are finding that there's this gap, and the gap is people don't know how to truly run things now that they're not in an office setting. How do you direct things properly, right? Like, there's no one there to pick up the ball when it gets dropped. Right. Holy smokes, I really have to be organized. Yeah. So it's So and that's the other aspect of my business. And I have other product related stuff too that people can go on the website, they can check out. I welcome everybody to do that. I welcome you to check out SLAY Project Management as well.
Cool, definitely,
awesome
definitely. Yeah, actually, I've checked it out many times. So yeah, definitely. So just out of curiosity, how and why did you start this business? I mean, you've mentioned a bit about what the service is, but how and why did you start it?
Well, I am a big believer in personal visions. And I actually have a vision statement, personal vision statement right behind me. I have a company vision statement right there. Nice. So I'm a big believer in vision statements, because I feel every moment of time that we have ought to be moving forward to what we really want to do, our goals or our strategies, however you want to call that. And I find a lot of individuals, I found this out when I was really young, which was great, that people kind of wake up and they go, oh, what am I doing now? Right? And then they feel like it's too late. So I'm like, well, why would you do that? So I've always been very much into figuring out what I wanted to do. Even at a much younger age, before even having visioning, I was like 18, 19, going into university, and this is now really aging myself. Franklin Planner Systems, Franklin Planner Systems. I think now they're called Franklin Covey, but the Franklin Planner System taught me how to organize, and I was like, fell in love. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like, woo! I was so excited. And in that system, that really taught you how to look out, and it was just goal setting, not visioning, goal setting. And so even way back then, as a young person, I went, oh, I would love to have my own company one day. I have no idea what it's going to be. Whatever, let it go. Over the years, thought of it too. And then because I used that system for a long time, I actually back in 2000 wrote down, in 10 years, I'm going to have my own consulting company. Didn't know what it was. And in 2008, during the great recession that we had, I branched out and opened up my own company. And I've been nonstop ever since. So, it all kind of, look, things are meant to be when they happen really fast and everything's really aligned. And that's exactly what happened with me starting my company. I got approached by some people who met me in a course that I was taking, and it was happened to be all these other industries. And they're like, oh my goodness, like, we love what you say and how you talk. Can you help us? And I was like, and at the time I was working part-time for an organization, because I was like coming off of my second child from that leave, and I didn't want to work full time. And I said, well, you realize I work for this company, I'll help you, but it's going to be on my days that I have off. And like, absolutely, absolutely. And literally from that first client, I said yes. I've been nonstop ever since. And in fact, for about 3-month period, I was working like crazy hours, like 24/7. I was doing my day job and then my consulting work. And I literally had to make a decision. Okay, what am I doing? Am I opening up my own company? And I said yes to opening up my own company. And I started opening up the doors of Cornerstone. And literally, I'm very blessed because clients come to me at this stage in my career. They come to me. I don't look for clients. And that's because it's testament to the quality of work. You know, I have tons of repeat business. And a lot of that has to do with, you know, how I work, the quality of work, looking for true solutions. I mean, you know, when there's good value in what you do, service or product, people will come back. So I'm a big believer in that. Maybe that's my sales background coming out in my marketing, but it's worked for me and it's worked wonders, and I'm very grateful for that. So
yeah, I noticed. Yeah, no, that's cool. I noticed on your website too, you say you don't really advertise, it's just word of mouth. So that, yeah, that goes to prove. Yeah,
it is. So people know me and then they'll recommend me to other people. Like, oh my goodness, you have this problem, you got to go talk to Adriana. So yeah,
cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. No, that's really cool. So you've worked with some big companies, big names like LinkedIn, Microsoft, Shell. Actually, I worked for Shell once, many years ago here in Calgary. But yeah, so LinkedIn, Microsoft, Shell. So can you tell us what it's like working on projects with small businesses, say, versus a large corporation? What are the pros and cons, or what are some pros and cons?
You know, it's interesting because I think small companies and large companies, they can have the same issues. What I find very interesting is I find larger companies like a LinkedIn, Microsoft, and Shell, they have a higher level of sophistication, okay, than let's say some of the smaller organizations. And what I mean by a higher level of sophistication is they're so big that they really are tight with their policies, processes. They have the money to dedicate people towards projects. You know, they're very clear with, you know, what they want to do. Yeah, sometimes there could be more red tape when it comes to those larger organizations, but there's just a higher level of sophistication. There's more strategy thinking. They're very, everything is tied to strategies because they are so successful. They're constantly strategizing on how to even, so everything is done for purpose and reason. So that's taught me a lot, actually. And even in the organizations I've worked prior to starting Cornerstone, I worked for large organizations, and there's a sophistication to it. And allows you to deal with a different type of employee, a different type of individual. Even executive teams are different. On a much smaller organization, and it's not to say that small organizations don't have sophistication, but where there may be more structure, and sometimes with that structure, a little more, you know, what we call handcuffing, oh, I can't move forward with that, or maybe more time to take something to do. Where a small organization will have the opposite. They're so agile, they're so nimble, they have the ability to do things kind of right away. But on the flip side of that, sometimes I call the cowboy mentality comes in and they're constantly changing stuff. It's like, whoa, like we need to find the happy balance of like, don't constantly change it. We have to see if it's going to work, right? And sometimes the smaller organizations don't have the resourcing, right? They don't have the, I can't, you know, or therefore they can't give the time to it. So it's kind of like a catch-22. And sometimes they don't have the funds to hire someone on a full-time, where what they want to do really is a full-time. So they're at that cusp of, well, we want to grow, we want to get better, we want to do more. We know that's only going to benefit us, but you know, the funding and the resourcing usually are the two things that hold them back. Whereas in a large organization, funding and resourcing tend not to be the issue. It tends to be, you know, that you're more handcuffed from a timing perspective, policy perspective, things like that, and probably a little more politics. Probably a lot more politics. So then there's a little bit of managing of the politic arena. You really have to be careful. I'm not good with that. No, let me retract that. I am good with it. I just hate playing the game. So there's a lot of, so I always tell my clients in advance, don't hire me to be a yes person, because I will not be that person. You're hiring me to give you honest answers, and some of it you're going to love and some of it you're not going to like. And you're going to love when I challenge people around you, but that same challenging I'm going to do to you. So you need to be aware of that from day one, because when I challenge you, don't get upset at me just because you're my client. I'm going to do it respectfully. I'm going to do it with respect, with I call love. I do love in the business, right? Come from the heart. I'm going to have some compassion. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be an idiot about it. But I'm going to challenge in a way that's going to help you move to the next level. That's what you're trying to do. That's why you hire me. You hire me to shift things for you. Call me the shifter.
The shifter, not the big P, which is the politics person. Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, like yeah. So, and that can be a really, that can be a good thing. It can also have its challenges, right? Because some people go, oh yeah, of course, Adriana, of course you're going to challenge. And then when I do, they're shocked.
That's when the stuff hits the
shocked.
fan.
What?
Yeah.
Why are you challenging me? I'm like, well, I told you I was going to do it.
You get what you paid for.
Yeah, exactly. I told you from day one. I practice what I preach.
Well, that's the best way to go. That's the best way to go. So
Yeah.
so let's give a scenario. You've been offered a contract and you sign on the dotted line. What's the first thing you do in a project? Where do you start?
Well, it's interesting because there was a ton of stuff that would have happened before even signing on the dotted line. So when I sign on the dotted line, literally, I'm in the stages of creating the initial plan and setting up my meetings with key executives and stakeholders to get things like finalizing a scope statement, stuff like that. For me, that's why I don't do RFPs. So if someone wants me to do an RFP, I'm not going to do it. So request for proposal, don't ask me just because you need 3. Oh, well, let's bring in Adriana. I actually ask, if you want me, great, hire me. But don't ask me to come in and do that, because the amount of energy and effort and work I put into the proposals and putting a plan together for you is also going to take a lot of energy and effort from you too. So, so there's a lot of work that goes up. We do a lot of discussions. I usually have 2, 3, sometimes 4 meetings with clients. We're really figuring out the needs. I kind of go back and forth. It's amazing. You have it so that when I'm finally looking at a proposal for work moving forward, it's clear, like, here are what your needs are, because I just want to confirm I understand them. Here's the approach we're going to take. It's very detailed. That actually has a very high level milestone list associated with it. There's tons of information in there so that when you're signing on the dotted line, it's very clear what you're getting. Very clear. And that's one of the compliments I get all the time. It's like, we know exactly what to expect from you. I said, absolutely. But then we also did a lot of work to get there. Mm-hmm. So I am not going to do that heavy lifting after I sign on the dotted line, because I just gave you a cost. So I'm going to probably get screwed if I'm doing the heavy lifting afterwards. So, and that's fine. I'm okay. If you're serious, I'm here for you. If you're serious, let's do it. Let's have the conversations. I need some more information from you. I'll put together an approach. We'll look at it, and then you're going to go with me. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So,
that's cool. Great. Good stuff. Yeah. RFPs. I know. I haven't touched them either. So I know what you mean.
Yeah. No, that's not for me.
Yeah,
cool.
You
want me? Hire me.
Hire me, but not for the RFPs.
Well, no, but you know what? I get tons of repeat business because it's there. The quality is there. People get it. Yeah. It's like, okay, we know exactly what we're getting. She's pricing exactly how it is. There's no surprises. It's like, okay. But then vice versa, I use project management principles. Like, where's the priority matrix? Scope, time, and budget, baby. Guess what? That's the first thing we talk about. So when you start doing scope creep on me on my proposal, I challenge you on it. You really want that? It's going to cost more money. Are you sure you really want it? And it's going to increase on our timeline. And those are just the general project management principles, right? Mm-hmm. So you bring that into business, and that's something else that's cool with project management, is a lot of those skill sets, if you're really good, translate perfectly into the business world and other aspects of the business world.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. So if anyone in the audience wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
Well, go to my YouTube channel for sure. Subscribe, please. I love that. So the YouTube channel is Adriana Girdler. You can go to cornerstonedynamics.com, which is my website. You can also go to adrianagirdler.com is another website you can go to, which will take you to the Slave Project Management. Yeah, so, for sure, you can connect me on all my social media channels. I'm on all the platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can just connect me on any of those channels, and I'll always reach out and reply back. So.
Nice. Well, fantastic. Well, this has been an awesome conversation, and I really appreciate your time and to come out and chat.
Well, Marcus, thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me, and I'm so glad that I could be part of your podcast. And I hope your listeners enjoyed it.
Well, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. You've got this vivacious personality that I think it's just gonna bring in the whole world, which is cool.
Well, wait till you see my YouTube videos. Please go there.
That's cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, we'll have a great day in the Greater Toronto area.
Thank you so much,
You're
Marcus.
welcome.
And you have a great day with your snow in Calgary.
In Calgary. You're welcome, Adriana. All right, we'll do.
Okay.
All right. Ciao. Bye.
Bye-bye.